When it comes to premium knives, very few makers, very few designs truly get me excited. But if there's one person that never fails to deliver on something that I want and I'm very excited about, well, that happens to be Brian Winters from Winter Blade Co. And I have a very cool new knife to show you. And yeah, coming from the same guy who invented the Factor and the mag lock, we have another locking system. Let's go ahead and get started. I want to be clear about something. It takes a lot for me to get excited about expensive knives nowadays. Once I've gone all the way up to the premium end of the spectrum, bought myself a $600 knife, pulled off that Band-Aid, you start to understand what really appeals to you and what doesn't appeal to you. And I've pretty much not kept any of those with very few exceptions. And what I've found is the ones that get me excited are functionally or mechanically unique. And the thing about these knives, especially the one we're going to talk about today, they are mechanically unique in the marketplace. There is simply nothing else out there like it. In fact, I think all three production knives made by Brian Winters, who is the designer, who runs Winter Blade Co., they're all unique. They're all patented. Starting with the Factor, which is his first production knife, has a magnetic locking system, or it calls a mag lock. It is patented and it has the coolest sound ever. Oh my goodness. That knife is crazy. It's crazy. You have to know that that's important to you. Knowing that this is not, it's a knife as a secondary feature, okay? It happens to be a mechanical piece of art, but is also a functional cutting tool. There's no qualms here. You're getting these because you love the mechanics, you like the looks, you like the intangible portions of the knife world, and they are not hiding it, especially with these designs from Winter Blade. So I got some really cool information from it, a lot of different things to go over. I'm not going to kind of re-summarize everything that was stated. I want to say that there is a lot of interesting variations of this knife, and one thing I did notice is that they are potentially making a version that will be G10 instead of titanium, and instead of M390, it will also have 14C28N. That could be a knife that a lot of people could get access to. And so I'm excited to see what the final pricing for that knife will be. When that does go live, I will make a big deal about it, because this stealth lock, which is what this is called, is a huge improvement over common locks that we have today. So the mag lock was proving a point that you could do something amazing with magnets that no one thought was possible, and he did exactly that. But when it comes to the Severn, this is purely a massive improvement over some of the common designs out there, specifically the crossbar lock, which uses, if you don't know, omega springs, these U-shaped springs, which over time do fail. This, on the other hand, uses a standard compression spring. You can kind of see it right there. And when you pull it back, it will actually just compress. And you can cycle this thing probably millions of times. I'm assuming these are pretty good springs, and you're not going to have a failure. Many tens of, at least 10 times longer than any omega spring would last. But it doesn't stop there with the design. So if you can kind of see how the retention occurs. The blade, which is right there, has to overcome and push back the spring bar, and that's actually how it locks in place when it's closed. Very cool that you can actually see that mechanics right there. And then we open it, which, by the way, take a look at this blade. How cool is that? Oh, smooth as silk on this thing. Nice, big, generous forward finger choil. 3.3 inch blade. Let me find the information here. Overall blade length 3.25, so 3¼ inch blade, and a very generous forward finger choil. This is going to be a good draw cutting knife primarily, and it is very, very slicey. You can really tell that. I'm not going to go over every single spec for this particular video. I want to focus on the lock. I really want to focus on that because that's the big thing here. There's a certain design aesthetic, and I can always pick out a Winter Blade It is clear, the style of pocket clip, the style of blade, the geometric kind of shapes to it. I just love this thing. And he always does these kind of really cool thumb studs that have an inlay. Kind of looks a little bit more modern in design, or even futuristic, if you will. Okay, so stealth lock. The big claim here is, besides the improvements by using a compression spring and having a milled titanium piece holding this is basically just for you to press, but the part that's actually engaging with the blade is a milled piece of titanium. So very, very, very strong. Much stronger than a single piece of metal that goes through it, like a single pin, which is what you'll see with a lot of crossbar locks. It's actually, the pin itself is resting on the blade. This has a huge milled piece of metal, so yeah, it's going nowhere. This could potentially be a much stronger lock. Now, the other thing here, check this out. So you can access and actuate the lock not only from the sides, but from the top. This little tab folds out, and you can close it. That is very interesting and very cool. And it is very reminiscent, everyone's going to say it, of something that has been out for a few years now called the shark lock. But I'm telling you, because I've disassembled this knife, that not only do they feel incredibly different, they are nowhere near each other in the way they function. Not even close. Like, I'm not going to take these things apart on video. Just trust me when I say that the mechanics of this are completely different, along with the purpose. You know, the shark lock was meant to be a very, very, very strong lock, and potentially this could be as well. But the fidget factor aspect, the ability to actuate it from the side or from the back, is just a very different look, a very different take on the locking mechanism. And neither one is necessarily better. They have their own purposes. So very, very cool design, incredibly interesting design. It's also sort of taking a improvement approach with a mega spring like they did in the Manix 2, but yet that's not a very fun knife to actuate, if I'm being honest. This, on the other hand, oh yeah. Now, this is actually a fully reversible knife. You can actually switch around the thumb stud to the other side, and the pocket clip will flip over as well. So fully ambidextrous, something that doesn't always happen with milled titanium like handles. They don't always do that, so I'm really thankful that Brian thought about doing that so that everyone gets the equal experience. Really nice job. So once again, you can get this knife on the 22nd of November, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Winter Blade Co. I'll put a link to his website. If you're seeing it, if you're coming in after that happened, you might be able to get in the second run. I don't know. This is going to be a knife primarily for those who, well, they love mechanics. I think what it comes down to is, if you are the kind of person who's not necessarily who's got the fanciest knife, like Damascus or whatever. No, that being said, he has some pretty special versions. If you like mechanics, like me, I am super attracted to unique mechanical actuations. These are your knives, I'm telling you. Winter Blade Co. and Brian Winters, they just, every single time, a new lock. It's crazy. 3 production knives now. This is the 3rd one. The Mirage, which I don't have, which is going to be rectified, was also, I believe, a unique locking mechanism as well. It's insane. I absolutely don't understand how this guy can do it. When you follow him on Instagram, it feels like he is inventing a new lock every week. It really does. Like, just crazy stuff. You have to follow if you don't already. Just insane. And this is another incredible piece from him. G10, aluminum or titanium handle, M390, 14C28, or MagnaCut potentially in blade steel, he says as well. So I don't know when that one's coming, but that excites me a lot because I am a huge fan of MagnaCut blades. And what was more to say? This is a very interesting piece. I don't think it's going to be for every human being out there. I don't normally cover expensive knives on the channel, but this one is one I love. And so for that reason, I want to showcase it. I want you to see what gets me excited when it comes to expensive knives. And this is the kind of thing that does it for me. This is the kind of amazing execution that yeah, it brings me back. And unlike most knives, which kind of some of that allure falls off, every single time I pull out the Factor, I just adore it. I just absolutely adore the knife. And I have a feeling that will be the same thing with the Severn. Very different in feel. And actually, I got to get used to this stealth lock a little bit. Very different in feel from the Factor. So if you're wondering, they are incredibly different, and yet you clearly know this is the work of Brian Winters. As always, guys, thank you for your time, and we'll talk again soon.